Peace and love, family. Welcome back to the channel, Making African Americans Great Again. Tonight I'm going to talk about how in lieu of this coronavirus, we kind of starting to see a world without law. It's starting to happen. You don't know what that is? This is a situation in which law enforcement will be limited to responses, if at all. I just saw where in Philadelphia, they're more or less saying that unless it's a violent crime being committed, police ask that you don't call them. So petty theft, retail theft, auto theft, almost anything like that is non-violent. Police basically don't care. They asking people not to bother them with the info. Now what happens? This leads to a lot of opportunistic people, criminals, feeling like there's a lot of victims out there that's just gonna fold over and let them do whatever to them. And if those victims still have that mindset that they gonna come help me, they gonna save me, then guess what? That victim is going to be sorely disappointed. It's almost like the purge. Now, a lot of people say there's got to be a hoax, and I hope it is. I hadn't really further researched it. It just came across my lap, and I'm going to speak on it. Not because it may necessarily be true, but let's just ask hypothetically. What if it was a purge-like situation now, to where most crimes, with the exception of violence, most crimes, the police are turning a blind eye to them? That still leaves room for the weak to become victims. What are you gonna do? This is another thing about staying prepared. As much as I love my guns, and I'm never anywhere without at least one of them, my number one prayer every day is that I never ever be placed in a position where I have to take the life of another human. I don't want to live with that. That's not what I do this for. But I love myself and I love my family enough to where if I have to choose between the bad guys and me, if I have to choose between some opportunistic villain and myself, I'm going to choose me. I got a wife and 2 kids I got to get back home to. I'm not saying that you have to develop my mindset. I'm just asking you, if you always depended on the government, if you always depended on the police to bail you out of a situation, what happens if they decide your safety and well-being is no longer a priority? It's other things they have to take control of. Or do you find the toughest guy in your neighborhood and hope that he's going to have sympathy for you and protect you? I mean, I guess it could work, you know. Some people don't mind letting other people extort them. Me personally, I have a problem with that. I want to be in control of my own destiny. Now, you can also develop the gray man approach. That's where you just basically, like your average everyday Joe Blow that's not into anything in particular. Most people look at that as the boring guy. They're not going to bother him. But in reality, the gray man, he's probably the most dangerous guy in the vicinity. He looks like a regular peon. He looks like your standard everyday citizen. In real life, he's probably got a gun and, you know, a couple of items on him that's going to make sure he get home safely. But people don't think to bother him because he may be carrying a briefcase. Versus some guys who like to walk around full battle rattle tactical. And what I mean by that is some preppers make themselves known. You can look at the type of bags they carry. You could tell they have gear on them. You could tell that this is a person, if you were to rob them successfully, you could get a lot of valuables out of the bag. Me personally, I like the gray man approach. I like to walk around with a regular backpack with my survival gear in there and I go from there. At any rate, getting back to this world without law situation, if things start happening, and once again, let me reiterate, I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I've heard so many of my fellow YouTube friends say this, the elites, the powers that be, this one world government that they trying to push. Let's play ball for a bit. Let's say they are trying to find a way to develop a one world currency. And let's say they are trying to find a way to make martial law go United States or worldwide. How would they do that? I'll tell you how. The first thing you do is let prisoners out. They've already started doing that. You let inmates out. You let them back into society. Then you turn around and tell that same society that, hey, we won't be able to effectively govern you. So be on your best behavior. And please, don't call us unless something violent is going on. This leads to the robbing, the looting, the fighting. It escalates. Then finally, they have to bring the National Guard or some other military force in to reinforce law. Order out of chaos. This could very well happen. What would you do if it did happen? What would you do if you woke up one morning and was told, hey, turn around, go back inside, where soldiers with guns pointed at you? Go back inside, this is for your own good. You're no longer able to make decisions. You're no longer able to be who you are. This is the thing about this situation here. A lot of people make fun of guys who prep, saying that they crazy, say that they paranoid. And I'll admit, there are a lot of them out there that's extreme. But who's laughing now? Like, ask yourself the question. Are you one of those people who would always say, oh man, these doomsday prepper guys are crazy? Nothing like that's ever gonna happen. I don't need to stockpile food. You got people literally fighting over toilet paper right now. Toilet paper. Imagine when they start registering in their minds that they're gonna need gas. I'm looking at gun sales. They skyrocketing. 40% increase in sales amongst first-time buyers. People who've never owned firearms before are buying firearms. It's funny because I see a lot of liberals developing a conservative mindset real quick. There's a lot of people who was anti-gun before the coronavirus. Now that the coronavirus hit and the United States government is telling you, hey, look, you need to start taking precautions to prepare. You know, we don't know what to do now. Now people running the stores buying guns. It just goes to show you, man, that when the world is at its normal peak, nobody cares. Nobody cares about their own survival because they're too busy going off into the world and putting on a show for the person to the left and to the right of them. Let this serve as a lesson to you that when this coronavirus thing does blow over, are you going to go back to your old ways? Or are you going to continue to stay prepared mentally? Are you going to continue to think, what would you do when the next disaster comes? Because I'm telling you now, this is just the first wave. The second wave is going to be a lot worse. And I say that because you got to pay attention to what they're doing. If they're letting prisoners out, okay? If they're letting inmates out, that tells you that this thing is getting bad. It's probably going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. That's not me being negative. That's me just giving y'all food for thought and keeping it 100%. At any rate, I'm in Texas. I'm about to sign out. I keep you posted on whatever I can. In the meantime, you get in the comment section, leave me a comment. Leave me some advice on anything I could cover. And I'm out.